Putting it on WHF, putting that on WHF, yeah, I'm on. Put that on.
We want to start our meetings with a prayer at this time. I ask Councilmember Andre Knight to lead us in prayer. If you're able to stand, I ask you to do it at this time.
Let us pray. God of our weary years, God of our silent tears, thou who hast brought us thus far on our way, thou who by thy might led us into the light, keep us forever in your path. Oh God, we come here tonight as a governing body, and we ask you to be with us as we deliberate the good of this city. We ask God that if there's any evil spirit that comes upon us tonight, that you rebuke it in the name of Jesus. You said, fret not thyself because of evildoers, for they soon will be cut down like the grass, and they will soon be carried away. We thank you, Lord, right now. We thank you for your grace and your mercy. We thank you for the blessings that you have bestowed upon Rocky Mount, all the citizens, from South Rocky Mount to Candlewood. We thank you, Lord, from Little Raleigh to Little Eastonburg. We thank you, Lord. We thank you for the leaders that are here to do the right thing. And, oh God, we ask you to be with us, and we ask you to protect us. We ask that you would look upon our citizens, and, oh God, we ask that you would be with them as well. This is our prayer. In Jesus' name, amen.
That's the city clerk to call the roll.
Knight.
Here.
Blackwell.
Here.
Joyner.
Here.
Watkins. Here. Rogers.
Here.
Bullock.
Here.
And Miller. Here.
Thank you, and thank you all for being here. I know we have some people outside the council chambers and some folks on the first floor, so I'm sorry we couldn't accommodate everybody in here, but again, we're going to go down. I don't know if we had agendas for everybody, but we will go by the agenda item number. We're on item number 4 now, approval of the minutes of our regular scheduled meeting of the city council, which was held on January the 28th, 2019. Are there any corrections or additions to those minutes? We adopt that stand as submitted to you. Item number 5, and I will get into that in just a minute. I do want to make some announcements, and again, I think a lot of you were here 2 weeks ago when the council made a decision to take some action on some issues that had come up. So I'm going to read these, but before I do that, I just want to let people know that I've gotten calls from a lot of people, emails from a lot of people. Some of them suggested that we bring the SBI in here for a vet investigation. So I made a call, and there's about 4 people that can invite the SBI to come down. One is a judge, another one would be chief of police, the other one is the sheriff, and the other one is the DA. So I called the sheriff, Sheriff Stone, and I asked him about it. And he said that he looked into it. He confirmed with the DA that neither one of them saw anything that was illegal being done in the city of Rocky Mount. He said his concentration was on guns, drugs, and gangs, and he was going to keep his focus there. So neither he nor the SBI were going to get involved in this investigation. But for those that suggested that, I'm just going to tell you, I made that phone call, and they're not going to get involved in this issue at this time. If somebody's got something that they can bring forward that would show something that was being done illegally, then he said bring it to him, and he might change his mind, but more than likely, he's going to continue to concentrate on the things that he thinks are important in Nash County and in Rocky Mountain.
David,
So, yes.
excuse me to interrupt him, but if I'm getting the message right now, I think they're not hearing.
You're
Is
not
that
hearing
right?
me? Okay. Mark or somebody, can we go turn that up a little bit? So the bottom line is, I did make that phone call, and that's what I was told. So as a result of that, the council has made several decisions. First off, we did look into and found 3 companies that gave us a proposal to come in and do a review internally. And we decided to hire a firm named Nexon Pruitt. It's to do an investigation, or not an investigation, but a review. And they're probably going to take 4 to 6 weeks to do this. It's a law firm here in town, in the state, and so we will be finalizing everything with them, getting their scope of work squared away, and moving forward with them very shortly. The second thing the council is doing is setting up a 1-800 number for employees. I think somebody suggested that last time. So we're going to set up it's a number that the employees can call in anonymously, so that they could report things if they see it, and they wouldn't be. We do have a whistleblower policy and a non-retaliation policy here at the city, so we want our employees to feel free to call, and again, we would have somebody auditing that. And then the third thing that the council is going to do is assign the internal auditor that works for the city to help the firm that is doing the review, to work with them and report back to that company as well as the council. And currently our auditor reports to the city manager. So these are things, that steps that we're going to be taking at this point in time. And so once we get that report back, what we can make public will be made public. There's some things that they may say these are personnel issues and we can't release that information. We want it to be as comprehensive as we can have it. And it's not just strictly on the manager's office, but it could be other offices and departments in the city. And again, we want to make sure that we follow the process. And once that's done, then we'll take that information and make a decision going forward as to what kind of action that we may or may not take. So does that sound like what the council is saying?
Mayor, I just add what you were saying about the 800 number, and it is we've decided to choose an outside firm to handle that. We think they can get it operationally established very quickly, and obviously by the fact that it's handled and managed by a third party that's in the business to do things like this, we feel like that it gives employees a safe place to call, and it gives us unfiltered feedback from employees. So we're very excited about this opportunity for employees to provide feedback to us.
And again, they'll be able to do that online as well as through the telephone. So at this point in time, we are going to move on to our public petition. Again, we're going to limit this to 1 hour. Hopefully we'll get through it. I don't know if we had as many people as we did last time. Yes. Yes, oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Can you hear me now? All right, can you hear me now? I want you to hear every word I'm saying. Related to the recent flurry of articles in the Rocky Mount Telegram, I cannot address all of the inaccuracies that have been submitted, and I will not, because that's protected under the freedom of the press. That's the first constitutional amendment that we all must respect, and I do respect that. However, I also believe that those constitutional privileges come with responsibilities of accuracy. And related to the last article in particular, a lie, a complete and total lie. I like to say to every department head with the city of Rocky Mount, I have never submitted a list targeting employees of the city of Rocky Mount for dismissal nor for retaliation for anything. I have been very pointed and direct, vocal and public on any concern that I have ever had. I have been concerned for years, 15 of them, about equity and inclusion throughout the entire city of Rocky Mount. Our leaders are good people, they're skillful, they know their business. But we have a culture in City Hall that's not always been great for everyone. And I've said that openly and publicly. And I've also worked hand in hand with every leader, along with the rest of these good folks around this table, to make it better. And in doing so, no one has ever been targeted. We've never taken recourse against department leaders when things were found that needed to be corrected. And I got a list of them. It's interesting to me how this manufactured outrage has brought together a different kind of fusion. We saw this kind of fusion take place in 1898. I see it right now. And it's okay. I don't have a problem speaking.
Here we go.
I don't have a problem speaking. I really do not. I'm not afraid. Because I speak truth. And what I say to you is this. If we love Rocky Mount the way we say we love it, we're supposed to love it for everybody. Now, when there were nooses hanging in public works departments, where were you? Where were you? When there were inequities, in the fire department, where were you?
Born.
Like on videos.
So what I say to you today, the commitment I have to the people that elected me and the people I work with is to create the best Rocky Mount that we can for everybody. Rocky Mount should work for everyone. Equity, inclusion, shared prosperity for all. Every community should benefit from their taxes, their utility bills, and their investments. Every community in this city should be able to say that they have safe neighborhoods, thriving businesses, and homes that are affordable and decent, and they're happy to live in. Every part of this community, from downtown to Winstead Avenue, should have opportunity for anyone who wants to do business to come to Rocky Mount. And if we want to create a city that's welcoming to everybody, we have to first be welcoming ourselves. Amen. It starts in the heart, folk. Amen. If we don't want to repeat history, we can't run the same old programs that we always ran. Now, we stand here working together. This council doesn't always agree about everything. And I've been part of a council where I was a minority, and I've been part of a council where I'm a majority as far as ethnicity is concerned, but more than likely what I found in 2000 and now in 2019 is that what ties us together is our love for this city and for the people that we serve and for the children that we're raising up together. And so if you feel your efforts are making this city a greater place to be, then keep doing what you're doing. It's okay. This is what the public square is all about. A place for all of us to speak. Everybody can't do this all over the world. And that's what makes America great. that we can all speak and we all have the right to live and enjoy liberty and the pursuit of happiness together. What I say to you this evening, and I'm looking at folk I've worked with for almost 20 years, there is no way, Rich, I'm trying to oust you, or Amy, or Ken, or any of those names that were contrived and created by someone externally in order to divide us. What I do know is that a house divided against itself cannot stand.
Will not stand.
But a threefold cord is not easily broken. So what I say to everyone tonight, let's link up, join up, fix whatever we need to fix. But if you love Rocky Mount and you want to see prosperity, the way to get it done is to work together to get it done. Thank you very much. I have never targeted you. I never will. I never have. Everything I got to say to you, I say to your face. I say at this table, and I say it in the public square. That's the kind of person I am. I'm not fearful, and I'm not intimidated. And I love y'all. God bless you. Thank you so much. Ms. Watkins?
I also want to respond to the same article in that it suggested that there was a council member who shared the information with the press. And so I want to say for the record that I am not the council member who shared that information. And I do not believe any other person of this council shared that information. Thank you, that's all I want to say.
Mr. Bullock?
Hold the mic up to you.
I don't have any comment. I feel good about myself, and I feel good about every one of you. Thank you, and God bless you.
Chris?
I thought we were doing this by ward, but okay. You included in the newspaper.
Yeah, I did need to push that button. The quote newspaper, I think that has all the council members concerned is that, let's see, it was said that a council member had confirmed, if I have the language right, that there was a list that was given to the city manager of people that should be terminated. I have never seen such a list, nor did I hear that from our city manager that was to happen. So I cannot confirm something that I know is rumored. We all hear rumors, right? But I can't confirm it if I did not see it. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I know I have not seen a list, and I certainly didn't give one to the press. I think the other thoughts I have, and at the risk of sounding like I'm being patronizing in any way, and those of you who know me, I think, know that I'm not doing that. But this is such a tough moment for us. It's a tough moment for all of us. And I think we're all struggling with it. I think we are, and we're trying to do what we think is right. I know I lean back on all the people that I grew up, that I respected, and taught me how to do things in an honorable way. And I know that's what I'm trying to do, and I think we're all trying to do that. We've got to figure out as a community how to rise above the acrimony and the distrust of this moment. And I agree with what Reuben said about thinking about our common being citizens of this city. That's what we all are. And that really does tie us together. And I think that if we'll remember dignity and respect for each other, the things that we were all taught by our parents, that'll help guide us to the next step. And I sit here wanting us to get to a smoother patch in the road, just like we all do. And I don't have all the answers for it. I just know that I haven't slept real well since the 1st of January. But I can't begin to feel maybe some of the emotion that some of the employees of the city may feel. How I feel doesn't matter compared to how they feel. And I'm also concerned about how you all feel and what you're thinking. So I guess I'm asking you for your trust and your support, and give us a little bit of room here and a little bit of support to get through this so that we can get to a place that we all want to be.
Just want to say thank you for being here. I say this city council, our mayor, city manager, that we have taken everything that you said as citizens, as our employees here, we've taken it very seriously, and we have worked long and hard and tireless hours to make sure that we're given due process as we go forward. Thank you for your consideration, and thank you that we're not always identified on what we look like in the greatest of times, is what we look like in the worst of times, and how we unite and make them the best of times.
Amen.
And how we do not destructive communication, but how we do constructive communication with therapeutic outcome. And that's why we are putting due process in place, that as we move forward, that we would, everybody that look at how Rocky Mount is moving forward, that they would see that we are a place that exercise due process. And give us some time in your prayers, and you'll see that we will build the best city this world ever seen. Thank you.
Right.
Just want to say, for the record, that I heard my colleagues, all 7 of us, including the mayor would make 8 of us, that no one has condoned a list to target employees, whether black or white. And so we wanted this Rocky Mount, those who say they want to make Rocky Mount great again, that we have never condoned that, and it was a lie. And we want to prove that tonight, that what you read in the paper, if all of us said tonight that we did not confirm that with the telegram, then somebody lied. It's not the 8 of us. I just want to say in 2003, we only had 2 African-American department heads. We fought for equity, justice from the street department, from the water and sewer department, energy resources, sanitation department, asking for inclusion, equity, and diversity. We have had more African American and people of color now as department leaders. And I think that's great, looking at where we come from 1867, almost of 150 years. I see your faces, but I'm a man of faith and a man of history. If you don't know your history, you will repeat your history. Also want to say, this is my belief, that people who leave a job basically leave on 3 conditions. 1, because of a better job or better salary. 2, because of poor working conditions. And believe me, we know what poor working conditions are like, but we, people of faith, African Americans, have dealt with that and been able to sustain that. The third thing, whether you believe it or not, is the culture in most southern cities. That people that don't look like me, that don't want to be supervised by people that look like me. And so we have to be honest with ourselves. And the last thing I want to put to rest, this council has invested more money in the last 50 years in downtown than any other council. With the Douglas Block, the Imperial Center, the streetscape. the downtown community center. And hopefully tonight, we'll hear another economic development, maybe two. We are committed to Rocky Mount, all of Rocky Mount. We're committed to the underserved areas that have been neglected, redlined. We're committed to the areas that has prospered, because we want everybody to prosper. And I just want to say, especially to Ward 1 and to all citizens in Rocky Mount, we love Rocky Mount, and we're going to fight for Rocky Mount, that we can be the best city that we can be in the United States of America. Thank you.
Thank you. All the council members wanted to make a statement, so we've done that, and we're going to move on to our next item, which is petitions to be received from the public. Again, we've probably got people that probably want to come up. We're going to, again, allocate an hour tonight. We got through most of them, all of them last couple of weeks ago in that hour's time frame. So again, I'm going to start calling you up. If you come up, the main thing to remember is speak at the mic. Make sure you get close enough that we can hear you. And if you did not sign up, there are some sign-up sheets, but we are going to limit to an hour. It is your opportunity to raise a question or present a request to the council. In most cases, though, council members are not going to respond tonight, but may refer the matter to the city manager or staff. Again, any kind of personal attacks that have potential to disrupt the meeting, we're not going to tolerate that. You're going to be asked to sit down or be removed. And we will give you 3 minutes and give you that heads up in about 2.5 minutes. If your comments are in regards to a public hearing, and I'm not sure if we have any tonight, do we? We have one public hearing. I'd ask you to wait until that time to come up and speak, because we will have a public comment time at the time that is on the agenda. So at this time, I'm going to call Jackie King, 122 Daniels Avenue, Attleboro. And then after that, I'm going to call Troy Davis, so y'all can get in the queue, Dorothy Tucker, Mark Russell, and Kim Koo. So if y'all will line up, then we'll bring you down accordingly. Yes, ma'am.
Good evening. As for state, I am Jackie King. I reside at 122 Daniel Avenue in the Battleboro community in the city of Rocky Mount. I'm here to talk about the Workforce Housing Advisory Commission. There has been some talk with the councilman and city staff about the Workforce Housing Commission. And the purpose of the proposed commission is to build a partnership with the city by bringing together a group of citizens to focus on joint decision-making regarding safe, fair, and affordable housing conditions to promote social equity justice as well as shared prosperity citywide. We believe we are a stronger city when we work together to solve shared problems and bring about positive social change. Thank you.
Thank you. Troy?
Davis, 1525 Bedford Road, Rocky Mount. In 2013, Starting Way Apartments appeared in a video that received almost 100,000 views on YouTube for the blight. With all the current racial divide happening in our city, I'm proud that this council came together, white and black, to help change the community. I want to especially thank Lois Watkins, Andre Knight, and Tom Rogers for coming out to the apartment complex. The apartments on Starling Way sat as an eyesore, home to criminal activity and ruin for years. What is today an excellent example of how community collaboration and people with vision can transform a community. If we are able to duplicate this effort through the city of the other properties in that 2013 video, a city left to rot, it would be a destined memory. We can turn properties of horrendous blight into quality housing developments people can be proud to live in. And Starling Way is an example. And I invite every one of you guys to ride past 717, 716, and 720 Starling Way.
Dorothy Tucker, and then Mark Russell, Kim Koo, Stacy Graham, Nehemiah Smith, and Tasha Aldridge, in that order.
Good evening. My name is Dorothy Tucker. I live 105 Vibrant Avenue, Battleboro Community, Rocky Mount. Citizens are not just periodic voters. We are the stewards of our community, and we are a political force for change. We recognize we need change to improve the condition in our deserved neighborhoods.
Thank you, ma'am. Mark Russell. Then after that, Dr. Koo.
Mark Russell, 120 Whitby Court. Thank you again for letting me speak, Mayor and council members. Last time I talked about a conflict of interest. It was kind of a general statement. You know, I'd like to pose a couple of questions.
Yeah, make sure you, it's hard sometimes.
Last time I spoke in interest of a conflict of interest, and not to one city council person, but to every council person out there. I just want to make that clear. And this time I have some specific questions. I understand you're not going to answer those, but I would like an answer on those. You have my email address, you have my telephone number on that. Is how do we determine whether it's a direct benefit or not? You know, and is all the council members, are they up to date on the code of ethics as far as for the city of Rocky Mountain and the general statute of North Carolina? You know, specifically, I'm talking about General Statute 14-234, and I would appreciate an answer back on that.
What was that?
It's General Statute 14-234, and I won't go into being lengthy on reading that, but it appears when I read through this general statute that we've had several votes that have come in the past through several council members that have gone against what this general statute says. And I guess I have a question also is, who determines whether a person should recuse himself based on this general statute or not? Is it you, Mayor?
No.
Is it Mr. Rose?
Yes.
Okay. Well, you know, again, I stated last time that I've been to probably 300 or 400 council meetings in small places, and people recuse themselves all the time, whether they know someone, you know, whether there's a direct benefit or not, but there seems to be an issue of whether we have a direct benefit, and that's my main question. Thank you.
My name is Dr. Koo, and I live in 220 South Englewood Drive in Rocky Mount. And I'm here tonight primarily to support the efforts of community members here against gentrification and trying to have a voice in the redevelopment and revitalization. And one of the things that have been requested was the workhouse, the advisory committee, workforce advisory committee. And that is something that has been suggested by Sue Perry-Cole and my group, which I'm part of, that will allow members in the community a seat on the table to discuss development that concerns them and not behind doors. And given that the city has been very slow in moving that, so I think that I would like you all as council members to reconsider that and take some quick actions. The other point that I just wanted to make, which bothers me a lot when I read what I consider to be sort of nitpicking little details on the supposed malfeasance of the city council members and its staff, and the disruptions that this report has really incurred, I feel is bothersome. And I ask myself, why now? And what motivates people to do that? I think it's something that we all have to ask ourselves as the city is looking forward towards redevelopment and greater wealth. And the question is, who benefits from all these disruptions? So I just kind of wanted to put forward for everybody to think before they jump to conclusions about what's going on. Thank you.
Thank you. Tracy Brown, and then after that, Nehemiah. I'm not sure where you are, but you'll be next.
Good evening, Council. My name is Stacy Graham. I live at 1721 Country Club Road. Tonight, we're going to talk about the law. The law is the principles and regulations established in a community by some authority and is applicable to its people, whether in the form of legislation or customs and policies recognized and enforced by judicial decision. Then there's rules, a principle or regulation governing conduct, action, procedure, or an arrangement. Those are such as rules of the game. Ethics, a system of moral principles, the branch of philosophy dealing with values relating to human conduct with respect to the rightness and wrongness of certain actions, and to goodness and badness of the motives and the end of those actions. These principles apply to what's going on here. The mayor spoke about rules or laws being investigated. What about ethics? This applies not only to the city manager and all of her new hires, but it is always applied to the issues at the animal shelter and the police department. I spoke with the interim chief, Robinson, at one of the Meet the Chiefs, who in person seemed interested in seeing the evidence of animal control missteps. He has since ignored my phone calls and my emails. He did have Lieutenant Ballard call me regarding one of the issues, which rises to extortion and coercion. That's the law. In my original complaint, I extended an offer to meet with the police department to provide evidence of this. I was never contacted to view the evidence. Evidence that council members Miller and Joyner have seen. Lieutenant Ballard stated he had no interest in seeing the evidence. He said it was because the evidence applied to a liaison volunteer at the shelter, not an employee, and therefore does not fall under the police department. So I am to understand there is no code of conduct for a volunteer liaison who does business for the animal shelter. I should also point out that one who files a complaint in the city online, there is no way to attach that evidence. For some reason, animal control and its supervisors see change as having to admit something's wrong. Change should be viewed as one's ability to grow. All I can say with regard to my interactions with the police department heads, both past and current, is that credibility is easy to lose and it's very hard to get back.
Nehemiah, then Tasha Aldridge, Gene Kitchen, and Bronson Williams.
Good evening. Nehemiah Smith. There is, I tell you, something missing in our city. It has nothing to do with the current administration nor the city council. It has nothing to do with office renovations or cronyism or conflicts of interest. As I said before, it's about the room getting dark. Those amongst us who are afraid of the dark. And so there are those who throw around terms like cronyism, incompetence, unqualified, without the benefit of proper definition in using the newspaper as a lexicon. The coded language is not so coded. It speaks to an unfounded fear of darker-hued leadership. But more importantly, it speaks to the unwillingness of a certain segment of our community to relinquish the perceived power of privilege. The carnival barkers trying desperately to agitate that segment into a foundationless frenzy. There's just nothing there. The days of Yazoo balls and thoughtless capitulation are over. We can read now. And not only can we read, but we can reason and lead. At the last meeting, the mayor gave some half-hearted, ambiguous support statement of the current city manager. At best, it was shameful. At worst, it was dishonorable. I thought there was no way for him to get his honor back. Then I read a headline that said he wouldn't run again. He got his honor back. Now, maybe the real conflicts of interest, cronyism, incompetence, and lack of qualifications can and will be exposed, and we can get to the business of not making Rocky Mount what it was, but making it what it should have always been, a real community for all. Thomas Paine, the English statement said, "These are the times of traveling soldiers. Some soldier and the sunshine patriot will in this crisis shrink from the service of the country, but we hold this now, that he who can get with the conflict, can come through it, we're gonna be all right. We just have to be able to work together. And we have to get all this other mess out of our way. When I came back to Rocky Mountain, I could get from point A to point B. I wasn't lost, I just didn't know where I was. We need to work together so that we can make this an inclusive community. And we can make it best for everyone in this room. Because I think that's what we all want. It's not about making Rocky Mountain great again. It's about making Rocky Mountain the greatest that it can be. Thank you.
We'll have Tasha Aldridge, Gene Kitchen, Bronson Williams, and Kim Weaver, and then Thomas Walker.
My name is Tasha Aldridge. I'm the business owner of Muttley Crew, the one that will be leaving downtown in about 7 weeks and counting. I once read, the beautiful thing about life is that at any given time, we can change, and tomorrow can become better than yesterday. If we want to see change, we must become what we want to see. What I see before me, whether that it be this current meeting, media postings, news articles, I see a bunch of adults acting more like children than the daycares that sit around us. That's including council members, city employees, and any citizen in between. I see so much turmoil and hatred that it's ripping the city apart. How can we expect to make tomorrow better when we can't stop living in yesterday? For the past couple of years, many of us have come to these meetings expressing the need for changes with our animal control department. And that, just like we're seeing now, it's met with ridicule, name-calling, and people in positions who have no business being there. To tie the current situation with animals, well, there are countless studies that you can read that show you can learn a lot by people with how they treat animals. If we can't get the people before us to help advocate and create change with the state of the animals in this city, how am I supposed to have a better impression of what the future of the city is going to hold as you deal with humans? I don't know what's in store for things to come, and as things continue to unfold. I don't know what's in store for what I'm about to say, but I do know this. I may or may not be able to help with change. I may or may not be able to help create a better program or care for the state of our animals here in Rocky Mount. And well, since myself and others are getting nowhere coming to you guys for over 2.5 years now, well, let me just say this. I got off the phone with the state again today. The violations that y'all ain't paying attention to, maybe it's time for the state to come in, and they do have them.
Thank you. This is Gene Kitchen now, is that correct? Yes.
Good evening. Thank you for your service. My name is Jean Kitchen. I live at 333 Old Coach Road. I've been here 3 weeks ago. I came when y'all had the call meeting, and then the week after that, and now, and it's 3 weeks. I very much appreciate that you have the committee, the independent audit committee. I think Mayor Combs, you said, what, 3-4 weeks at least till we get feedback from them?
4 to 6, but yeah.
4 to 6. I would like to challenge you to give the community a win. Do something now and do something visible. As a member of the Central City Revitalization Committee, I'm sure you all heard a lot of what Reverend Jones, Mr. Pittman, and Mr. Barnes was saying at that meeting about the lack of presence, the lack of regular support felt by the downtown merchants. I think it would be something that could be done fairly quickly, and tell us you're doing it, that it's been restored, that there's a regular presence supporting the downtown efforts and supporting the downtown merchants. Also, over a year ago, we were told that there was going to be a change in permitting, and I believe the Southern Bank building was going to be the lobby. It was going to be kind of a one-stop shop where people could come in, feel supported, feel walked through, feel welcome to bring their dollars and invest in Rocky Mount. That hasn't been done. I've heard a lot of reasons, whether they're changeover in personnel or whatever. But we need a win, and we need to see something quickly, visibly, that's being done to really let us know you're listening to us. Thank you.
Good evening to the council and mayor. I want to say that as a business investor in the community, I am moving a business downtown Rocky Mount. I believe in our downtown community. I believe in our city. As I begin to really inspect the current climate of our community, I've been told and find it true, you do not get what you expect, you get what you inspect. To me, this is nothing more than the tired and true classical political strategy of divide and conquer. When we sit back and take a moment and breathe, there is momentum in Rocky Mount, spearheaded by this very council that sits before us today. Grants provided to rehab homes, warm programs existed because of this council, sidewalks in places where they were on the back burner became priority. Our police department improved through training and bold priorities. Downtown streetscape, the downtown development is underway. The downtown event center, the sports complex, and the Imperial Center. The utility department moved to a newer and larger location to improve its customer service. We have a lot to be proud of in Rocky Mount. And understand that work is never complete. There's still work to do. But the last time I checked, construction is still going on in Rocky Mount, North Carolina, and people are still getting hired. This lets me know that Rocky Mount is open for business. I urge this leadership to not get caught up in distractions that would hinder the continued growth and success of our community. Continue to focus on improving the lives of all citizens in Rocky Mount. I learned in math class at Parker Middle School that a negative plus a negative will always be a negative. In order to reverse a negative, there must be some positive conversation and work and results in our community. As I look through this City Hall today, one of the things I've been a strong advocate for years, and I'm waiting to see it happen, and that is I believe that these city council meetings should be broadcast on TV 19 while they are happening. We see the opportunity and that we see that the infrastructure is in place because Mark has done a great job in getting it in the break room, getting it in the atrium down. It's just one more connection. One more little connection there in the studio room so we can see that and the people can see it in the comforts of their homes. But again, I continue to ask this council to continue to work together for the success of all the citizens in Rocky Mount, North Carolina. Thank you.
Thank you. We have Kim Weaver, Thomas Walker, Laurie Lindsay, and Victor Jones in that order.
Good evening to everybody, if you can hear me.
Speak close to the mic.
My name is Kim Weaver. As a longtime Rocky Mount resident, it was my privilege and honor to serve the citizens of Rocky Mount for over 21 years, including over a decade in the Energy Resources Department under the direct leadership of Rich Warsinger. And I want to take a moment just to say that I appreciate the comments of all of you earlier, your reassurance, because as a resident of Rocky Mount, I was shocked when I read the paper today concerning the alleged firing orders. As a former city employee, my shock turned to utter disbelief when I saw Rich's name on the list. I want to think it's not true. Because I can't imagine how anyone could think our electric and natural gas systems would be better off without Rich at the helm. So briefly, I'd like to take a moment to share with our citizens of how the value that Rich has brought to the city of Rocky Mount since he came here and continues to bring, and how, as Mr. Blackwell said, he is helping everyone in our community. When Rich arrived in 2001, our utility system was struggling financially with non-competitive electric rates, aging infrastructure, and a poor safety record. Today, Rocky Mount is recognized as an industry leader in both the public natural gas and public power arenas. Both utilities are strong financially. Our rates are competitive. Our infrastructure is modern, safe, and reliable. And the safety record is excellent, which, by the way, is Rich's #1 priority. Under Rich's leadership, there's been a reduction in electric system losses from 8% to 3%, yielding annual wholesale purchase power savings of $4 million. A load management program that reduces annual wholesale electric purchases by $6 million. We negotiated a restructured gas service agreement with annual savings of about $1.25 million. And a gas supply agreement with an annual savings of $600,000. He spearheaded a project to increase natural gas sales by 20% annually. This at $800,000. So this is a total of $12.65 million annually that he is saving the city of Rocky Mount. As my director and mentor, he encourages all of his staff to go beyond what they believe are their limits because he sees so much potential in each one of them. He holds himself and his staff to the highest degree of professionalism and service. Rich and his wife Nancy choose to make Rocky Mount their home. They're involved in the community and take great pride in supporting the revitalization of Rocky Mount. 2 more sentences. I pray for each of you to provide the leadership our city needs and replicate the faith in Rich that I and his staff have in him to continue to provide excellent public service and excellent customer service. And as the Athenian United States, we will transmit the city not less but greater and more beautiful than it was transmitted to us. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thomas Walker, Maury Menges, Victor Jones, then I believe Bill Jones and Nathan, is it Overy? Yes. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Mr. Mayor and members of council, I want to, after the exhausted trip to our nation's capital this week, I'm a little exhausted, but why would I still be here at the meeting? Because I believe in Rocky Mount. I want to quote late Mr. King, not late Mr. King, he's still there, but I want to quote Mr. King, who we all saw and know about his experience. That King was Rodney King, who said, why can't we all learn to live together? And if there's anywhere that ought to happen, it should happen in Rocky Mount. I could employ the saying that is used in the church a lot as I listen to you, particularly Rupert Blackwell. I could just say, amen, and have a seat. I will have one shortly. But before doing so, I would say to all the council, you are doing a great job. There may be in 1 or 2 what I want to do there. But my point is that I watched the whole scene. I keep reminding you all of how long I've been in the city. And I've been attentive to what's happened. I'm happy with the direction Rocky Mount is going, the decisions that our council is making, the job that our city manager is doing. I do recognize uncaring because I must use that word I used before, which is the original sin. There's still racism. Do you know we must remind ourselves that this is Black History Month? And if anybody can adjust to all that has happened to them and all of those things that has been geared towards us, it's us. It's amazing that we're carrying on anyway. And we want to tell you as a council, keep on keeping on. We're behind you. Rocky Mount is in a good place. And I would advise you to ignore, if you can, the conspiracy of this newspaper, conspiracy of this radio
About 30
station.
seconds.
WHIG, I get up every morning having to listen to them stir up mess in the city. But we want you to just keep on where you're going.
Thank you, sir. Victor Jones, Bill Jones, after that.
Maureen Mansions.
Make sure you get near the mic.
Hear me? No, that'll be the first time.
Too, that might need to hear you.
Okay. The first thing that really kind of worries me is the new utility place. If you come off Franklin, you hit one of those, barrier things. Can somebody check into that? Because sometimes I get confused which street to come up because I'm coming that way. Anyway, that really means nothing to anybody, but it does worry me. Next, I think we all in Rocky Mount need to be good stewards of the Rocky Mount funds. I think our city council needs to make good decisions for the whole of Rocky Mount, not one section or for themselves. If I have a question, since there is sort of like a gag thing going on here, who ever calls me back, or how do I find out that y'all really listened to what I said? I don't get paid for coming up here like y'all do, but I have to use my time. And since Caroline's playing day, this is really important. And just real quickly, if people are upset that the newspaper is saying things that are slanderous about you, you can sue them, can't you? If they really are doing something bad to you. And also I was reading in this little welcome thing, it says the council decides the policies and what can be done, and the city manager just sees that it gets done. And if the policy making and the policy administration is supposed to be the most economical and efficient, what? Thank you.
Victor Jones, Bill Jones. And then Ms. Unruh after that.
My name is Victor Jones, and I live at 1616 Blair Street. I'm the owner of Valley and Families Counseling and have been providing mental health and domestic violence services to residents of Rocky Mount for over 20 years. Mental and medical health is among the reasons why we request the immediate approval of the Workforce Housing Advisory Commission resolution. As the city continues to undergo rapid change, resident stakeholders are voicing a desire for more community engagement and citizen participation. This participation must be meaningful and include community revitalization, planning, policy making, and community redevelopment activities. We have seen what happens when the people that are most affected are not a part of the planning. The history of redevelopment seldom bodes well for the masses of people who are already at a disadvantage. They are subject to displacement, to losing their living space, as new developments are too expensive for them to remain in their neighborhoods and maintain established social support systems. I speak as a healthcare provider and a domestic violence treatment provider with the stats that domestic violence costs North Carolina over $3 million per year. Affordable housing is important for our citizens. Numerous health and wellness issues are at stake, including the problem of domestic violence. According to the National Coalition Against Domestic Violence, 1 in 3 women and 1 in 5 men experience domestic violence. And one of the reasons that people stay with an abusive partner is the inability to secure affordable housing. Parents that are seeking to escape domestic abuse situations need affordable housing options for themselves and their children. I'm sure we're all aware of the recent tragedy in Wilson and other tragedies that happen that sometimes don't even make the newspaper as domestic violence events. Affordable housing impacts educational outcomes, crime rates, and quality of life. The Workforce Housing Advisory Commission is needed to assure consideration for the health and well-being of our citizens. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Jones, Ms. O'Reilly, after that, A.D. Whitley, and Susan Perry Cole, in that order.
I am Bill Jones, 528 Woods Walk Lane, Rocky Mountain, North Carolina. Born and reared in this state of North Carolina, educated in this state, and have worked in this state all of my life. Here in Eastern North Carolina, I started to come to Rocky Mount as a child with my mother shopping for clothing and food. I know Rocky Mount. I've been in this existence of this city all of my life. Got my financial start here in Rocky Mount with the Evening Telegram at 10 years old. I know Rocky Mount. For those of you that have asked me to stop living in the past, I'm living in the future that looks worse than my past.
Come on now.
So don't tell me to stop living in the past, because what you're giving me today is worse than what I lived in the past.
Amen.
Brother Counsel, I ask in my closing that you consider having some citizen participation in your review of this matter in Rocky Mount. I come with the experience of checks and balances. I come with the experience of knowing right from wrong, moral and ethic standards. Consider your citizens to be part of that. Then your citizen will not look at you that you bought somebody to come in and give you the results that you want. Thank you.
Amen.
I'm A.D. Whitley, 3401 Amherst Road in Rocky Mountain. Mayor, I appreciate your report on progress towards the investigation. That was my main concern, and you addressed that early, and I appreciate your bringing us up to date on it. I want to say one other thing, and that is that we all need to understand that perception is reality.
Correct.
It may not be factual and it may not be the truth, but it is your reality. If you perceive you're about to be hurt, then your reality is you're about to be hurt. If these people who are here did not perceive that there's something wrong, they wouldn't be here. Their feeling and their perception is based on events that you of the council have created. And I hope all of you understand that that perception doesn't change until you prove to somebody that their perception is wrong.
Amen.
And that's for all of you to get together and get it done. That's the reason we want to get this investigation taken care of and get that behind us and move forward in the right direction from there on. Thank you for your time.
Good evening. My name is Nathalyn O'Reilly. My residence is 1713 Beverly Road. in the great city of Rocky Mount, North Carolina. And I come before you as representative of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, the Rocky Mount branch. And I come before you to encourage you, Mayor Combs, and the Rocky Mount City Council, and the City Manager, Small Tony. And I also want to thank you for the strength and resilience that you have demonstrated when confronted with elements that seek to disrupt the peace and tranquility of our town. It is not an easy task to navigate a giant ship in rough waters, but strong captains stand fast and skillfully maneuver onward and look forward to calmer waters which will facilitate advancement to the culmination of a successful journey. It is said that to err is human and to forgive is divine. Yes, your humanity looms before the citizens of this great city and is a strong messenger to everyone to search our individual hearts and identify our personal strengths and weaknesses before we can come to the public microphone to pronounce judgment on anyone else. And it is very important to demonstrate respect, compassion, intelligence, and concern for and towards our leaders. Let the fire that looms our great city serve to warm us and continue to stimulate pursuit of improved company policies, community development, public safety, affordable housing, quality education for our children, and advance the business and industry growth here in Rocky Mount, North Carolina. Thank you.
Thank you. Sue Perry Cole, then Warren Daltridge, Rosa Brody, Anna Lamb, and Samuel Battle.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of the City Council. My name is Susan Perry Cole, and I reside at 251 Rose Street, just a couple of blocks from the downtown event center. I rise to speak tonight to draw the City Council's attention to delays in approval of the Workforce Housing Advisory Commission resolution. We residents are appealing to the City Council tonight because, first of all, we have faith in the City Council, and we believe the Council is interested in our concerns about major changes occurring near our homes. We residents also came tonight in a spirit of collaboration with a desire to strengthen our partnership with the city. As one who lives just a few steps away from the event center and other downtown revitalization projects, along with other neighborhood residents, tonight I'm stating my interest and support for increasing meaningful community engagement and citizen participation. Let me remind you that the City Council on December 11, 2017, unanimously approved the concept of a Workforce Housing Advisory Commission as a component of Rocky Mount's Assessment of Fair Housing document. I have those minutes from December 11th with me tonight. Since December 2017, we've been waiting for the City Council action to approve creation of the Workforce Housing Advisory Commission recommendation. It's now 2019. Since a move by the City Council on July 9, 2018 to defer consideration of the Workforce Housing Advisory Commission, there's been no further action taken. How long must we wait without a response from the Council? How long? I want to conclude by pointing out the call to approve the Workforce Housing Advisory Commission within the next 30 days. This is really a call for unity and inclusion as the city continues to undergo growth and transformation. Our recommendation for a commission includes appointment slots for business leaders, developers, and the faith community. Our recommendation purpose is to call people from different backgrounds and sectors to work together to solve a common problem, a Rocky Mount affordable housing problem.
We believe the city is stronger when we
Got about
work
30
together. And thank you so much for allowing me this opportunity to address you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, council persons, council persons and distinguished guests, and my fellow citizens, I'm Warren Dottridge. I live on 117 Manchester Court. Someone used a quote earlier tonight by one of my very favorite historians, that's Winston Churchill. He said, truly he said, "Those who fail to learn from history are condemned to repeat it." I want to make sure everyone hears loudly and clearly what he did not say was to stay there and live in it. He said, learn from it. What I came to speak today about was hopefully an uplifting story of leadership based on my personal experience. So I'll go now. In April of '83, I departed this beautiful city for boot camp at Naval Station, Great Lakes, Illinois. I was a young, immature kid from a middle-class, college-educated, working family living in the Englewood subdivision of Rocky Mountain. Once that buzzing razor hit my head and every other recruit's head, identical uniforms were issued and the yelling started coming at me. I knew I was no longer in Rocky Mountain. I quickly learned that the other thing that was painfully apparent was that we were all the same now. No matter the color, the heritage, the nationality, we were, just like our clothes were, our uniforms, we were uniform. We were there for one mission, that was to defeat our enemies of this country. There were no excuses. Our leaders drilled into us that we had to be the best, we had to train the best, we had to work and do everything like we were the best. We had to work as a cohesive unit. We had to know each other's jobs, our tendencies, our weaknesses, so we could help each other out when needed. We slept together, we ate together, we went on liberty together, we drank together, sometimes too much. We cried together, we shared family letters, pictures, and gifts from homes together. We were a family, we were a brotherhood, if you will. Another key learning of my days in the Navy was the responsibility of leadership, and that's what I'm here to talk about today. It's a lesson that has served them, the Navy, well over the centuries, and will continue to serve them for many more to come. The captain and his or her senior officers are responsible for their ship. They're in charge of training, conditioning, maintenance, proper operation, and most importantly, they're in charge of morale. If something goes wrong and a ship runs aground or it hits something, even though a junior officer or enlisted man is at the helm, it's the captain and his senior officers that take the blame. This is because their greatest responsibility is twofold. They're to ensure that everyone aboard was effectively trained to do their job and that their morale was at the highest it could possibly be. Sailors who were untrained, beaten down, and scared to make recommendations for improvement are ineffective and incapable of handling their mission. My question to you today is this: are you here for one mission, to serve our community? Do you go to bed at night confident that you are effectively leading Rocky Mountain? Are you part of a brotherhood of leaders bonded together to make positive change for this community? Do you know the strengths and weaknesses of your colleagues so you can lift them up when they need it? Do you believe your department heads and their senior managers do too? How is the morale of the various departments? Do you seriously believe that the history of this city will show you did an outstanding job? How will your workers remember you? If you can answer "job well done, good and faithful servant" to these questions, then God bless you. We hope you stick around. If you can't, please do us all a favor and get out of the way so somebody can scan.
Ms. Brody, Anna Lamb, and then Samuel, you're going to be the last one.
Mayor Combs and council members, good evening. My name is Rosa A. Brody, that's the I.E. Brody, and I live at 112 Patterson Drive in Rocky Mount, North Carolina. It is good to have a city council that will listen to the citizenry in which we live. We as a group of Rocky Mount citizens want you to know we want to work to help you to make our city great. Since July 2018, community residents have been patiently seeking information about when the City Council will resume consideration and approval of the resolution for workforce housing. We do not understand what is holding up progress. Lately, we do have an inkling. But we want you to consider that this delay and lack of explanation about the council's intentions, which they did some time ago and approved, is creating growing frustration and confusion among the residents. Just because it is keeping us from helping to make your work easier and to make Rocky Mount great. I love my city. I call it home. Please help us to help you. Thank you.
Anna Lamb, and then Samuel Bowden.
Hi, good evening. My name is Anna Lamb and I live at 7 Carr Street. This is the first time I've ever done this, but I'm here tonight because I support the efforts of Sue Perry Cole and all the work that she does. I'm speaking tonight to bring attention as well to the City Council's delay in approving the resolution to appoint a Workforce Housing Advisory Commission. Residents who will be and are currently affected by new development and revitalization in the city know their communities and issues such as affordable housing better than any outsider. They are simply asking for a say in the future of their communities, and their collective wisdom is an invaluable resource for designing revitalization solutions, and they deserve a seat at the table. Therefore, I request that the City Council takes a stand for inclusive, participatory community decision-making by voting within the next 30 days to approve the resolution to appoint a Workforce Housing Advisory Commission. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. I just wanted to come here today. Let's talk about Raleigh Boulevard. Over there by Hardee's, the 24 McDonald's. It is so dark over there, 1 o'clock at night. You can't even see your hand. Dark breeds crime. We need lights over there. All down Raleigh Boulevard from Meadowbrook on back to the bridge. Only time you get light is when the police sirens come on the fire truck. That's the God knows truth. It ain't funny, but that's the God knows truth. And number 2, I hear everybody out here talking about we got to work together. I've been trying to work together ever since I came home in 17. But my own people been turning their back on me. And I don't know what to say. Everybody is sitting up here acting like they're good at two-shoe, like they're helping somebody. But you didn't help me when these kids get murdered out here, when I gotta go to their family. When I'm getting calls 2 o'clock in the morning, kids need help. But let me tell you something. I went to the police department today talking to Marty Clay, and we sat down and had a long talk. He did go to P.D. Barkley. Dr. Furman, we went to his wake. And we talked to him. And he's from Edgecombe County. I didn't even know that. And I ain't prejudiced, never been. This black and white issue, I don't even consider myself black. I don't consider myself white. I'm a human being. We got to wake up with all this beef and turmoil with each other. I remember when I used to go down Sargent Mountain, the textile plants, it was mad business over there. Houses full of family. And now it breeds crime, because houses are ran down. But I'm going to just say this. From World War I. Brother, I ain't got no beef with you, brother. I'll work with you any day. Brother number 2, I'll work with you any day. I don't have no beef with you. But when it comes to these kids, we need to own up to that. We need some type of stuff to get these kids right. And they crying out. You don't have 6 murders or more. That's an estimated 60 murders a year. I got people from Detroit talking to me and said, God, Sam, y'all worse than Detroit, man. It ain't funny. But we need to get this together. America, I'm glad you leave me though, but I welcome you on your journey though, and have a safe journey. And one thing I got to say, this problem was caused before the city manager got here 20 years ago. It ain't her fault. Charles Penny had the same problem going on too. So at the end of the day, that's what it is.
That's the last one, so we're gonna receive from the public. We will try to follow up on some of these items, and again, obviously the workforce housing is an issue, the animal shelter is an issue, and we will try to come back and address those issues very shortly.
So, Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
We have our retreat in February, where we just committed to appoint all of our commissions and committees. And the council's been waiting too on process, so you're not alone, community, wanting the Workforce Housing Advisory Commission. So I'm sure that we'll add that to that agenda and make sure that we make our appointments before the end of this month. I want you to stay tuned because we have an announcement that'll show you why we need you to be in business right now. So I would just say, let's do this if we can. Is that okay?
Yeah, we're gonna alter our agenda here. We have a economic development project that we're going to go ahead and move up on the agenda. Some of you may want to leave now. You're certainly welcome to do that if you want to stick around. We have two economic development projects that we're going to discuss. The first one is, I'm going to turn it over to...
They ain't concerned. Want them leave.
All right, as the last ones filter out, if we could just kind of get settled down again, and I'm going to turn it over to our city manager for introduction of this particular item.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of council. It certainly is a pleasure this evening to introduce a very industrious team that has come to Rocky Mount with a very adventurous and exciting project for council's consideration. Some time ago, this council ventured off into a journey of building a very impressive event center here in the downtown. And the purpose of that event center, or purposes, are multifold. Certainly one is to encourage more development in the downtown area. And the project that we're going to present this evening certainly is a fine example of that. I don't want to take up a lot of time in my comments because I'd like to reserve that time for the presenters. So in this order, I'm going to ask Mr. Cedric Chisholm of BWC to come first to describe this project. Then secondly, we will have Mr. David Hunt of Hunt Services, who is the developer for this project, followed by Amy Staten, our finance director, and Mary Nash, our attorney on this project. And then I will conclude with my recommendation to the city council to approve the letter of intent to move this project forward. So Cedric, if you would.
started. Good late evening to the council members, mayor.
Make sure you pull the mic up.
City manager, can you hear me now? And to citizens of, residents of Rocky Mount, my name is Cedric Johnson, Cedric Chisholm, and I am an associate with BWC Consulting, and we are a minority-owned and led boutique economic development finance firm. And so we've been working as an external economic development consultant to the city of Rocky Mount since around 2011, 2012. And we've done a number of economic development oriented projects here in Eastern North Carolina, particularly the Edgecombe Community College Biotech Center, as well as serving as market tax credit advisor on the event center. And so what you will hear and learn about tonight is an extension of the event center in an effort to continue the economic development and revitalization of the downtown area here in Rocky Mount. And I kick off this presentation to you because the developer who you will hear more about the project from, Mr. David Hunt, is we worked with Mr. Hunt on this prior project in which he closed on financing to expand his advanced manufacturing plant in St. Joseph, Tennessee. And working with him on that project, through our work with Rocky Mount, we informed him of the desire and the efforts to revitalize his downtown. And so he's a go-getter, an entrepreneur at heart. He said, I'll take a look. He came down here on his own whims and took a preliminary assessment of the area and came back and said, I would like to look further into an opportunity to come and do a project here in Rocky Mount. And so with that, I'll allow Mr. Hunt to simply come before you and present what his concept and vision is for this public-private partnership-oriented economic development project that will, we feel, be a great addition to building upon what you all have here in Rocky Mount. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, City Council, City Manager, wonderful group of citizens and leaders tonight. I'm humbled to be in this wonderful city. I want to say the last 9 months is probably my 9th or 10th trip here to try to discern whether or not it's something I want to invest in or how we can move forward, how we can put together a solution and partner with the city to develop a P3 that would work long term. Obviously, this kind of been I kind of read the paper before I came here, and I kind of listened to some of the activity tonight. And the gentleman that spoke earlier about the Navy and the Marines and how all that happened, I too wore the country colors. And I too definitely understand where you're coming from by saying we all together and we all are one. And I would hope and pray that this project brings this community together and it really does build on the investments that you've already made as a community by building a wonderful event center. And I would imagine that event center was built because you wanted to see economic activity for all the citizens of this great community. And you wanted to lift up all the sides of this great community. And that's why, in good faith, when I started coming here, that was my mission and that was my goal, was to take something that you all have made a tremendous investment in and try to add the other piece of it, which primarily is economic, private investment to go along with the public risk that you've already taken. So what I would like to present tonight is a very simple scenario which lays out building a branded hotel. By branded, I mean a Hilton and Marriott branded hotel. I'm a Hilton and Marriott developer. I've won Hilton Developer of the Year twice for different projects that I've done. So I have a background of success. This is not pie in the sky. Based on all the research that I've done and all the due diligence that we've done before we got even more close to this point, we believe that downtown Rocky Mount is viable, is feasible, and can be a platform by which we help bring other economic development into downtown Rocky Mount if it's done the right way. And so this development will include multiple layers. The first layer, as I stated, you've already done by investing in the center already, the event center. And you did a wonderful job constructing it. You did everything first class. Matter of fact, one of the things I go look at when I look at a location like that, you may not believe this, but one of the things that dooms event centers
faster than anything else is not having enough restrooms. It'd be amazing what you find that with event centers that's failed and don't do well in the community, it's because you don't have enough restrooms. Most distinctly, women in restrooms. So that's one. So that is some of the due diligence we find in what we do. The next thing that doing an event center of this type is not having ample parking. And I don't mean surface parking, I mean parking close to the facility that's well lit, that's easy to get in and out to make it convenient as possible for all of those who may come. And so those are the first things I looked at when we came here. So one of the first things the P3 partnership speaks about today is we want to build 660 up to 1,000 parking spaces inside a garage that's going to be well lit, well maintained, going to be monitored by a camera system, and going to be maintained in a clean environment every day. So anyone who comes to this area will feel safe to get in and out of their car, especially mothers with kids, to be able to come into the facility and enjoy the event center. The next thing is critically important, and they're going to show you the pictures here in a moment. But the next thing that's critically important, as I said, is having a branded hotel. Now, you may think any hotel would do, but my folks, I'm here to tell you, if that was true, you would not have all the branded hotels out on the other side of town that I stay in when I come here. If any hotel would do, you would have those out there, no names on them, but you don't. You have Hilton, you have Marriott, you have Holiday Inn Express. Okay, that's because people have little reward cards in their wallet, and when they go stay in a hotel somewhere, they want to stay in one of those hotels. And so, if you want to truly bring economic development downtown Rocky Mount in the form of hospitality, you have to bring a flag branded hotel to the market. So that's one of the things that obviously, like I mentioned, I'm a developer for both Hilton and Marriott, and I've been approached multiple times by people on Holiday Inn, but I've not gone that way yet. But right now, we're going to look to bring a branded hotel. Short term, we want to bring one hotel to start with, and if things go as I plan, we hope to have each one of those flags downtown Rocky Mount within the next 3 to 5 years. So that's so we're talking about a 107-room branded hotel on site, right across the street from the event center. Another thing that's critically important when you start trying to develop a destination location, which is what this is. When you go out in the city and you invest $40 to $50 million on a project, it becomes, and it has to become an event center for you to ever get into town ROI or return on investment. So, what we need to have also here is, we need the parking, we need the hospitality, but we also need retail. We need retail that's inviting, that allows people not only get jobs, but also bring economic development and prove to people, because none of us in this sector are brilliant people. We all are copycats. In other words, you come to a community and build another hotel where someone else has already made money. We all get reports showing us how much McDonald's doing this year. That's why you go build a Burger King beside it. We all get reports saying this hotel is making this much money a year. That's why you go build the next hotel beside it. So for you to engender economic development, folks, you first have to get something started. Okay? And that's why P3 is so important, because it has to be shared risk between a private developer like myself and the community like yourself. Once it gets started, America allows capitalism, the marketplace, to take effect. So my prayer and my hope would be, once this gets started, you have private investment want to come in and build a second, a third, a fourth hotel. You have more retail centers, you have more activity want to come to town. Why? Because somebody started it, someone took the risk, and they made money, and someone copies. And so with that being said, the next part of this is, like I said, it's going to be the retail. We want to build 20 to 30,000 square foot of retail space, for us to bring businesses down there, for us to have things for people to go eat when they bring their families down to the event center. We want to have things for them to do, not have to drive all the way back to the other side of town to get a meal, or to feel comfortable about where they are. We want to make this a destination location, downtown Rocky Mount. And together, we can do that. The last piece of this, we talk about housing and things like that. Listen, in no way do I come in and say that we can fix all the problems. As a city council, you guys are doing an amazing job, and I want to commend you, because I know y'all took a lot of citizens speaking out tonight, and that's what makes America great. You don't know what makes America truly great? It's the citizenry being involved, and you all allowing yourself to listen to them, and you all not arresting people. My place in the world, my friend, If you came here and you spoke negative about a leader, you get arrested.
Mm.
Or you might get shot.
Mm.
And I know some of the city council be up want to shoot somebody. But that being said, you all listen distinctly, just like you listen to me on multiple times I've been and spoken in front of you. And I come to you as humble as I know how to tell you, is that this community is a great community. Please, y'all, turn down the pressure, turn down whatever kind of friction in the media, whatever is causing all this distinction, and realize this is a great community. I travel multiple places. I see all the different things all over the country, primarily the Southeast. This is an outstanding community. And my family and I, my wife have never come here. She's my primary business partner, and she really tells me what to do for the most part, to be truthful. We are willing to make the same investment on this project that the city is looking to make on this project. That's how much we believe in Rocky Mountain. That's what we believe in what I've seen and what I saw in my multiple visits here. And so I just tell you, let's just, as someone said, join hands. Let's take the next step. You all already taken a risk by building the event center. Let's take the next step now and make this what we all would love it to be, so it can engender more economic growth and more benefit to the entire community. Last thing I left off on was the housing. We're going to build condos downtown Rocky Mountain. Now, I realize that no one's ever sold a condo downtown Rocky Mountain, to my knowledge. I realize there's not a whole lot of market rate housing in downtown Rocky Mountain. So this is a tremendous risk to my business and to my family. I'm willing to take that risk, as I say, because I believe there's a place for it. If it's done right, if it's done with good intentions, and if it's done inclusively, it allows us, and it, like always, if you get somebody a better mousetrap in America, normally it succeeds. So my mission is to build a better mousetrap in these condos, to make them affordable, to make them desirable, and to make them be a place to where everyone that comes down there want to be a part of that, because the quality of life is so great. That's how you succeed in America, by producing a better mousetrap, and that's what I believe. That's what I believe you all done by investing in the event center. I only want to build on it. I only want to partner with you and build on it. So essentially there, you see the plan there, the event center, as you see it currently constructed. We will build, like I said, right there on Atlantic would be a parking garage. Right there on Gold Leaf, then additional parking garage. In the front of the parking garage, there would be about 20,000 square feet of retail that'll be leased out to different multinational companies and whomever else want to lease them out. There will be condos on top of the retail, as you would see in downtown Charlotte, downtown Memphis, downtown Atlanta. They'll be built to the same quality, the same specs. Matter of fact, they'll be built by the architect that done some of those works in some of those locations. So they'll look very similar to those. And they'll be inviting with different kind of amenities inside of all of them. There will be, like I said, a branded 107-room hotel that will be most likely an extended stay brand, but it has not been finalized yet. It will have a full pool in it, with all the necessary amenities that the brand brings to bear. We will also work with the community to take some of the development space and also build a splash park. Because as you know, you're going to have a lot of families, a lot of age range of different people that will be coming down to the event center. You may have a family with kids 13, 14, you may have some with kids 5 and 6 and 7. So we want to try to do is a gender location where a mother can take her son in there who's playing a game and take her daughter outside, and we want to have like a splash park. It's going to be supervised so they can walk around and play in the summer, not in the winter, not too cold today. They can run around the splash park and get wet. We want to also take some space that's available to us, have a public area where we can show respect to those that served in uniform. That's a really type park where someone can go sit down in prayer, and where someone can go talk about, you know, if they want to go pray, if they want to just sit down and just relax. We want to try to make it in a place where no matter who you are, no matter where you come from, you feel comfortable about being in downtown Rocky Mountain. And most importantly, you want to come back again, you want to spend your money again, and you want to tell your friends and your colleagues, you know, we had a really good time. I went there and parked my car on a Friday, and I stayed there to Sunday. I never got back in my car again. That's the real goal. That's kind of what my dream is. That's kind of how we lay things out. That's kind of how we put this together. And that's really the goal and the mission. So if anyone have any questions to me, feel free to ask it, but that's kind of what I'm proposing.
Next, a major part of this deal is to make sure that we prepare the letter of intent, which eventually leads in an agreement, a redevelopment agreement between Mr. Hunt Services, and the city of Rocky Mount. We're at a point now of executing the letter of intent, and then several months later, perhaps, we will be at a point where this is solidified and becomes a reality. But at this time, Amy State, now Director of Finance, will go through the letter of intent and the conditions that are placed within that letter of intent, followed by any comments that our legal advisor, Mrs. Mary Nash, has to offer, and then we will entertain a motion or questions of the City Council.
Thank you. Since receiving this proposal from the developer, there has been work that has been done, work that is underway, and there's still more work to do. So I wanted to talk to you about the due diligence that is in process. What we have done since receiving this proposal, myself, my staff, Hunt Services, BWC, the city's financial advisor, which is Davenport and Company, and our bond attorney, have worked as a team to look at the proposal, look at the assumptions that have been made in it, and turn that into what the financial impact would be for the city. And this is work that we do year over year to look at the city's debt capacity and debt affordability. We've looked at that with the event center and the current debt that we have, and we've rolled this project in. And it did take some work because we went through several reiterations of looking at different assumptions and things we could do with this project to make it work. So we finally come to a point that we figured out a way to make it work that Mr. Hunt has also agreed to. So that's where we are, but we're not done. We've also identified that there's some steps, some next steps for us to take, so we know what those steps are. And some of those include making sure that we're not going to do anything that jeopardizes our special obligation bonds that we entered into for the event center. We're going to make sure that we're not going to do anything that's going to jeopardize our new markets tax credits. We've done preliminary work on this, but we want to make sure we get a legal opinion on those items. So there's just some next steps. We know what those are. Those are defined, so we're moving through those next steps now. And those are outlined in the letter of intent as well, because as we move forward through the letter of intent, before we actually get to a legally binding agreement, there's just things that we're going to have to do. Probably as we work through it, there will be some other assumptions that we need to layer into the financial analysis that we've done, and we'll continue to do that and update you on it to make sure that we still have a plan that works for us all. It needs to work for the city, and it needs to work for Mr. Hunt. So we're working through that. So it's not done. I mean, we've done a lot of work underway, as I said, but some more to be done just to make sure that the due diligence is in place here. One of the key factors that will happen soon will be just talking with the local government commission. This doesn't escape the statutory process that the city always goes through. So those things will be coming up as well. So I just wanted to assure you that there's work that is underway. And I'm going to call Mary Nash Rusher to talk about the legal aspects of the letter of intent.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. As we have discussed before, the letter of intent provides a legal framework for the relationship that the city is thinking about entering into in developing what is essentially now the parking lot that's across the street from the event center. I know it's a little bit hard to see over there, which will include parking that will be built by Mr. Hunt and then leased to the city under an arrangement that is intended to duplicate the cost that parking would have if the city built it itself. That is the goal of the letter of intent. As Amy pointed out, it is important that we go talk to the local government commission. This will be a lease lasting more than 5 years, more likely more like 20 years, which always requires local government commission approval. That is a significant step we have to take. The letter of intent by its terms is not binding. It simply sets out the framework and the next step, including, as Amy was pointing out, the due diligence that needs to continue to be done, talking to the local government commission, working on economic impact studies, a lot of additional information that the city has requested. All of that will happen over a several month period while a more defined development agreement is put together, and if all those things come out right, it will be signed by the city and Hunt Services. I think we're all happy to answer any questions.
Then finally, I would say before opening this up for questions for the council, in sum total, I think this development represents somewhere in the neighborhood of $60–70 million. Coupled with the existing event center, we're well over $100+ million in a very short period of time in the downtown area. And with that, Mr. Mayor, I would open it up for questions, but certainly it is my recommendation that you authorize the mayor to sign the letter of intent.
If the council members have any questions, I know we got the presentation earlier, so does anybody have any questions at this time?
Make a motion, Mr. Mayor, to approve the letter of intent.
We have a motion, do we have a second? We have a second, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Mayor,
Yes.
I'd like to make a comment that you can't help but be impressed by the vision that was outlined by Mr. Hunt. To think about a brand new hotel like he's described, the parking deck, the retail development, the residential development is clearly very attractive, and I think what we all want. And I think I do understand, Mayor Nash Rusher, the legal aspects of this. But I think we are in a mode of reacting and maybe haven't been as proactive as we should be. And I'm uncomfortable with the risk that I believe is in the deal that we're looking at today. I know we're going to look at it as we go forward. I know we're going to look at it further. But I think the risk in this deal is one that puts the city in a position where it might be difficult to borrow money in the future. It might lead to a significant deficit in the overall, in this deal overall over a long period of time. And I don't think we've done enough economic impact study related to it. And so, with great respect for Mr. Hunt and his vision and his looking at our city, I'm going to oppose entering into this letter of intent tonight.
We have a motion, second, any other discussion?
Can we talk a little bit about, the binding, non-binding process and the study that's on that hearing?
Sure. Amy or Mary Nash?
Yeah, my understanding is that the city has commissioned a third-party company called Novogradic, who is going to do a economic impact study of the downtown Rocky Mountain area, including the impact that the proposed complex could have.
But nothing's binding with the LOI.
Yes, sir, that's correct. That information, as well as other due diligence and input from the local government commission will, and finalization of the terms of the arrangement between the city and Mr. Hunt are all required before anything is binding.
All right, thank you. Any other questions? I have a motion and a second, Ms. May.
I am as financially conservative as any person you're likely ever meet, but with the understanding that this is non-binding, I am willing to go forward. I hope I'm holding the button down sufficient that you can hear me. I am willing to go forward with a letter of intent while we do all of that investigation and get the numbers, and to have that report back that Amy is referring to. Thank you.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed?
No.
All right, so raise your hands. The two opposed from Mr. Bullock and Mr. Rogers. Motion passes.
economic development project that we have added to the agenda. And I'm again going to call on the city manager again for, because there were some comments in the paper about this and the timeline. This is the Carlton House project and the grant funding. And so we're going to add that to the agenda and deal with it, have a report on that and hopefully move forward.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor and members of council, again, it's a pleasure to recommend to you the execution of a contract that supports the La Jerko Monk Hotel agreement. Back in August the 16th in particular, the city council authorized the financial support of the application. Between August and January the 8th, it was our assumption that the application was made and submitted to the Department of Commerce, and therefore we did not hear anything further on this application. So once we received notice that the award had been made, we presented the information. It was presented to the mayor. The mayor had concerns about it because also within that application was a requirement that the city would support this project with a certificate or certification of deed of trust to back or guarantee the loan amount. And so when it came before the council, it was recognized that the mayor had to sign it and therefore had to be approved by council for him to sign it. So tonight, we are at a point to continue along this process by recommending that you authorize the mayor to execute the agreement, and also that the city will stand behind the loan with a certified deed of trust.
I just want to be clear, because again, it somehow made some comment about somebody sitting on somebody's desk. I can tell you it wasn't on my desk. I didn't see it until about a month ago, and at that time it needed to be reviewed by the city attorney and approved by the city council. So I'm glad to move it forward, so I need a motion at this time to approve the grant funding.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Item will be 15, the Carlton House grant funding is approved. We're going to move on now back to our original agenda and go to the consent agenda, which is item number 6. And I know a lot of you may want to exit now.
Lies your tail. Yeah, man. Lies your tail. La. Lies your tail. La. Sad.
One council member missing.
We're going to talk about this in the Relation Commission meeting
Which is
between
item
the
number 6. There's an A, B, and C. The A is a recommendation of approval of the award of a duty sidearm. This is to Sergeant Christopher Mosley for 30 years of dedicated service. His retirement date is February 1st, 2019. And Sergeant Edwin Collins for 28 years of dedicated service. His retirement date is February 1st, 2019 as well. Item B is a consideration of a temporary street closing. This is from Ann Craig at Station Square. This is to close Nash Street between Church and Main from 4 to 8 on Saturday, April the 13th for a spring affair at Station Square. Item C is a consideration of the budget ordinance amendment for our fiscal year 2018-19. And then, because that's a reimbursement for other cities that we helped during the storm. Recommended actions to approve the consent agenda inclusive of approval of the award of the duty sidearms, approval of the temporary street closure, and adoption of the budget ordinance. Have a motion by Councilmember Rogers, second by Councilmember Knight. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Item 6 is approved. Item 7 is our only public hearing tonight. This is, again, something that we have worked with over a period of time and gotten pushed off a number of times. But this is relative to the Land Development Code amendment. This was recommended for approval and found in compliance with a comprehensive plan by the Planning Board relative to the parking of oversized commercial vehicles on residentially zoned property and amending the ordinance adopted on July the 9th, 2018. This is to allow commercial vehicles in excess of 25 feet in length or 10,000 pounds
to park in the rear of the yard behind the primary structure on parcels having at least 1 acre or more. There are a number of actions there that we have done since July the 11th, which is our first public hearing. The recommended action tonight is to adopt the ordinance. Do I hear a motion?
Second.
Excuse me, it is a public hearing. Does anybody from the public would like to speak on this item? If not, the public hearing is closed, and I entertain a motion.
So moved.
We have a motion by Councilmember Watkins, second by Councilmember Blackwell. Any discussion?
My only concern will be the impact on residential streets of having multiple vehicles of this weight travel in and out on the, for that purpose. But I'm going to vote for it because of the greater good of getting the ordinance passed restricting commercial vehicles of that weight and length from neighborhoods, with the exception of lots of an acre or more.
Have a motion second. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Item 7 is approved. Item 8 is a consideration of minutes and recommendations from the special call committee of the whole. This was held on January the 28th. First one was a closed session, which included personnel and economic development. Second one was amendment to the land development code, which we just approved. And 3 is boards and commissions and committees. We again have deferred this because we've had some other things going on. Hopefully we'll catch up now and go ahead and get those done. Recommendation is to approve the minutes. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second. Motion by Councilmember Knight, second by Councilmember Joyner. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. Item 8 is approved. Item 9 is a consideration of a proposal from Martin Starnes and Associates. This is to perform our annual audit for 2019. This is the 13th year they've been doing it. There's no increase from the prior year in terms of their fees. The recommended action is to award the contract to Martin Starnes and Associates and authorize the mayor and director to finance to execute the same on behalf of the city.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Miller, second by Councilmember Blackwell. Is there any discussion?
Mayor, I'd ask Amy Staten, is there any change in the scope of the audit, anything in particular they're going to be doing this year that they haven't done in the past?
No, there's really no change in the scope. They'll still do all the same work that they've done in the past. If there are any new governmental statements, they'll give a closer review to those. But other than that, so it'll be additional work that they normally do, but no change, no reduction in their scope.
Thank you.
Motion second, we voted on that. Okay. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Item 9 is approved. Item 10 is a consideration, this is an engagement letter. This is, again, for them to perform an independent audit statement for the Tar River Transit. This is required every 10 years due to a change in reporting by the Federal Transit Administration. Recommended actions to award the contract to Martin Starnes and Associates and authorize the mayor and director of finance to execute the same on behalf of the city. Motion by Councilmember Joyner, second by Councilmember Knight. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. Item 10 is approved. Item 11 is a consideration of renewal contract. This is with Compensation Claim Solutions. It's a third-party administrators for workers' compensation. It's a 4-year contract. The recommended action is to approve the contract and authorize the mayor to execute the same on behalf of the city. Second. Motion by Councilmember Bullock, second by Councilmember Joyner. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. Item 11 is approved. Item 12 is a consideration of shared use parking agreement. This is with the Edgecombe Community College. The agreement outlines the terms, reservation procedures, and the city improvements to parcels. The recommended action is to approve the agreement, authorize the mayor and the city clerk to execute the same on behalf of the city.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Watkins, second by Councilmember Blackwell. Is there any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. Item 12 is approved. Item 13 is a consideration of the bid for multi-year lump sum tree trimming. We do this pretty much on a yearly basis, trimming trees around power lines, that type of thing. The recommended action is to award the bid as recommended and authorize the mayor and the city clerk to execute the bid contract on behalf of the city.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Joyner, second by Councilmember Knight. Any discussion?
Mayor, I'd like to ask why there's such a change from year to year.
Rich?
That's Amy or Rich.
And it goes up and down.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. We received input from the various tree trimmers over the years that if we were to, instead of doing just a one-year contract, if we would do a 3-year contract, we would get better prices. They said it allows them to know their workforce would be here for more than a year. So we did that. And in the first year, the low bidder was Xylem at $411 and change $1,000. And then the total over 3 years, they were also the low bidder. So that's why we are recommending awarding it to Xylem.
Did that answer your question?
As far as the fluctuation goes, they are trimming different areas of the city. We divide the city up into 5 areas, and we just trim each area, zone 1 the first year, zone 2, etc. And so it could just be the one has got some more trees to trim, or they feel it's more difficult.
More volume in different areas, or
Yes.
some areas have more volume than others.
I'm assuming so, Councilmember Rogers. I'm looking at the numbers, and the numbers are less expensive to go with Xylem, and they've done work for us before and do a good job.
Any other questions? We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Item 13 is approved. Thank you, Rich. Item 14 is a consideration of scheduling the city council retreat. This is for February 20th and through 22nd. This is at the UNC School of Government in Chapel Hill.
Yes, the venue would actually be at the Rizzo Center, near the campus of UNC. And we'll give you the correct address.
But the School of Government's going to be involved with it.
Yes, that's how that's
Okay. And that is to begin at 8:30 on February 20th. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
All in favor say aye. All opposed, no. I think that's going to do it. Yes.
I would like to ask the manager to introduce, if you've done it, I don't remember, but would you mind introducing a new planning director to those who are here? I'm not sure that's been done. I know you're doing all this.
Okay, I'm sorry. Yes, it's a privilege and a pleasure to introduce Mr. Will Deaton. Will now serves as actually the Director of Development Services, formerly the Planning Department. Will comes to us with a great deal of planning experience, most notably from Pinehurst, and prior to that, the city of Fayetteville, and I think prior to that, the city of Wilson. And he's already started making his mark here in the city, working specifically with the downtown community. And you will be hearing some more great works coming from him very, very soon. Will?
Well, any other business to come before the city tonight? If not, we're adjourned, and thank you for being here.
Yes, sir. Well, the night didn't turn out like they thought it would. The council dispelled many rumors. The telegram ought to call Linda Kay right now before we leave the council meeting and tell them you are fired. You need to go to work with the community council, concerned citizens, WHIG-TV, fighting crime, and all those special kind of things. This has been a great meeting. Good night.